Hello and welcome to On the Other Hoof. Three boxes, four people tonight because I'm joined by Adam Webb in person today, which is terrifying for me. Callum Medell and Michael Andrews have kindly kept their distance instead of invading my house. It was just us two last week.
Yeah.
One of us had a nap win, and no name's me. Adam didn't, and I not to big myself up, but I'm on a nap hat trick, which I don't think's ever been done on the Other Hoof before.
Nope.
A nap trick.
A nap trick, yeah, that's it. That's quite sad. But we didn't get the chance to celebrate, guys, because you two missed the video last week, selfishly. And we didn't get the chance to celebrate all napping Slade power on the last day of Royal Ascot.
I'll cut myself off here.
So I feel if we could just have a little woo.
Pat ourselves on the back.
Yeah, well done.
Yeah, and Adam didn't.
I
let the team down, as normal. But moving on to today, we've got the Coral-Eclipse. And it's divided a few opinions between us, I think is an understatement. But we'll get onto that later on. The first race we're going to be covering is the 205 from Sandown, the Coral Charge. This one hasn't divided opinions. I know three of us all fancy the same horse. We'll start with Michael. Is it all four of us on the same horse?
Steps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah!
Well, I can't really work out why he's such a big price, really. The distance is decent. The rains are going to come. You know, this is easier than the race he won at Haydock, and I just think he should get this. Artug is definitely the biggest danger, and Stepper Point outran his odds considerably at Royal Ascot, but there's not that much depth to this race. I know Rex Imperator and Kingsgate Native you can make claims for, but with the rain coming for Kingsgate Native, that's got to be a negative. I just think Steps is a really progressive horse, and is definitely a group horse. And what's this, a Group 3? I think you could take this. 6-1 is the price I've got on my screen at the moment. I'd be taking that for Steps.
Wobya got in touch with Adam apparently and said that he thinks that Steps is fully exposed now. which I think is the biggest pile of nonsense in the world.
Yeah,
after he was staying on eye-catchingly in a Group 1 last time at Royal Ascot. Callum, surely the stiff of 5 furlongs will suit him here at Sandown today?
You think so? Steps obviously was a horse that I actually put up early in the season as one I thought would improve, and it's really good to see him justify that and do that. The only worry I had was the ground. I thought maybe it was a little bit too quick for him potentially, but like I said, there is rain about, so I think it's good enough for him. Drawn 1 should be okay for him. I mean, he'll need a bit of luck from draw 1, but it's usually the place you want to be, draw 1. So yeah. I'd rather be there than on the outside.
The thing that I noted earlier on, there was 2 sprints at Sandown today. The first one being a big handicap, is they sort of came down the middle, which is very, very rare for a Sandown sprint. But I think about halfway they switched back over to the rail. But if they do that tomorrow, then that would just be about perfect for Steps. Yeah.
And sometimes, you know, he starts his races really well, and he's usually up with the pace. It's just like at Epsom, I think it was just a strange race where he just missed the break, and last time he got squeezed out early, which didn't help, and that could have happened to any horse, you know. But there is dangers. I think Kingsgate Native, especially if the rain came, is a solid chance. He has been beaten in this race twice, though, so he's probably vulnerable for win purposes. Stepper Point, I think, he's probably a solid horse, and Artug, arguably the best horse in the race at this stage, but whether he can back up his maiden performances is a real question mark for him, and it just means that 6-1 on Steps with Fallon on, I think, yeah, it just looks the best horse in the race potentially, and I think he's the one to be on.
For me, it looks pretty bomb-proof, but we've mentioned the rain that's apparently coming overnight, and I've checked the weather forecast, and there's quite a lot of it. The Sandown sprint course usually gets a hell of a lot softer than the round course. So even if the round course is good tomorrow, or maybe even still good to firm, we could still be looking at sort of good to soft on the sprint course, which has happened before.
Yeah.
And that would suit Steps down to the ground, wouldn't it?
Definitely.
Literally.
As we've all agreed, he's a selection in the race. I thought he would have won the dash. Another 50 yards, he would have won the dash, and that was giving him a 3-length head start off top weight.
Yeah.
And then his run at Ascot was really eye-catching. I mean, he got sideswiped and then was staying on 6. And again, another 50 yards, he probably got a place. So I think he is the best horse in this race and is the one to beat.
So that's fairly conclusive then. We started off by all going for exactly the same horse.
A couple of weeks ago, we all put Steps up at Haydock, and what happened?
And a couple of weeks ago as well, we all put Slade Pat. Oh no, wait, we didn't, did we?
No, we all did.
We didn't nap him, did we?
No, we all did in that episode, did we?
I'm not letting you forget that. But we move on now to the Bet365.com condition stakes. Nice to know that Bet365 hadn't taken conditions out of the name. That was childish. I'm sorry. I apologise for that. But it is a very hard race to sort of decipher our way through. I'll let Callum start us off because we had a little chat beforehand about Morrissey Music.
It's a bit trappy, isn't it? The market suggests likewise. You've got horses from 11 to 2 to 8.
If we had an on the other hoof bingo, a lot of people would just be ticking off a box right now. Callum would mention trappy.
We should make our own bingo cards.
We'll make bingo for next week. Sorry to interrupt you, Callum.
Yeah, sorry, that's all right, But yeah, I'll try and get as many cliches in this race as possible. Complicated. There's one. Maidan form. That's one. Maidan form. Again, I wasn't really sure about his runs in Maidan. He didn't really seem to progress from them, and all his best runs were on the Tappiter. His run on turf was pretty modest, and he's probably got the best form from his racing in Australia. But I wouldn't have him at 11 to 2. And Soul definitely got the best form of the race if he can prove it. But I mean, this horse was running in decent Group 1s at one point, not long ago, but he's 7 now, coming off a break from last October when he was favourite in a good race won by Tropics. This is his ground. He does like softer ground, but again, I couldn't trust him. If I had to go for something, Morrissey Music, who likes Haydock a lot, I was a little bit disappointed by him last week. He was well beaten in a race won by Fairway to Heaven at Windsor, but on his return, he was 4th behind Intibar with Annunciation back in 2nd, and he was really unlucky that day. He got a horrendous run. I don't know how he got hampered in a 6-runner race at Haydock, but he did. And I just think potentially he's the one that could run a good race tomorrow on his ground. At 8 to 1, I think that's probably a fairer price than the Godolphin pair, who probably are the standard setters, but they have a lot to prove, and I think Morrissey Music will run his race, and that might be enough to win it.
Yeah, we were talking to you, Adam, before, and you were saying that you were a bit shocked how big a price it was.
Yeah, just this day. I mean, he was 4th in the Temple Stakes 2 starts back, not over course and distance, over 5 furlongs, and I thought he was going to get a place that day, and I was quite disappointed that Kingsgate Native came and nabbed him on the line for 3rd.
Good commentary, by the way.
Good commentary, thank you.
Good commentary.
He wasn't. I wouldn't say he wasn't disgracing the King's Stand. I mean, he obviously got naught in the form figures, but I just think that a step back up to 6 furlongs. Remember, he was 3rd behind a Stare and Hot Streak. Back up to 6 furlongs round Haydock. We know likes it. Soft ground isn't an issue. I think 6 to 1 is actually quite a big price about him.
Yeah, if returning to his best form that he's shown this season, then he's got to be a real player. Michael, your selection for the race?
I don't like this race at all. I looked at it and I thought, no, this race is not for me. It's not even a handicap. It really lets me down. I really don't know. I must admit, I'm a bit convinced by Adam's argument there, which is a first for On the Other Hoof to be convinced by Adam. But I have to agree, probably he should be. I wouldn't say he should be much shorter because it is a trappy race. We don't know much about a lot of these horses. They've all come off. They're all a bit messy at the moment. I think Barks and Ash hopefully will bounce back, but it's handicapped to the hilt really. Annunciation also should bounce back, but I've got very little to add to what everyone else has previously said, and I can get the argument on Justice Day. But I think Annunciation would bounce back and hopefully be a better horse tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with Callum shock horror on Morrissey Music. It's just, again, to repeat what Mike was saying, it's not really a race that I'd be wanting to get too involved with. Whoa, that was a close up from Callum. My forehead, bro.
Cheers, man.
But Morrissey Music likes the ground, likes Haydock. He's got enough ticks in the boxes for a race. It's a real trappy event, as Callum mentioned. It's not a race that you'd be wanting to get too involved in. But my pin has landed on Morrissey Music. But I wouldn't recommend having a bet. But we move on now to the Coral Challenge, 240 at Sandown. And it doesn't get too much easier. Oisin Murphy rides Sam Moritz, who he, of course, rode out his claim today. So that 3 beside his name won't be around for too much longer. But it's a competitive little heat, this one. You quite fancy one that Michael I'm sure we'll be putting in his naughty luck of 15 for later on.
Yeah, I quite like Brazos. At 10-1, James Dodd takes the ride as well, which I find quite interesting. He was 6th behind Mustard. Yeah, Mustard in the. I'm trying to remember the name of the race.
Jersey.
The Jersey, yeah, he was 6th in the Jersey, and they said that day that he needed an extra furlong. He gets the extra furlong, and he gets a bit of weight, even though it's a handicap. He's still, what is the claim in this race? I know that 3-year-olds do get an allowance. I just think that it's good placement by Clive Britton, and I think 10-1 is a fairly big price for him. And I think that form with Mr. Jim, I mean, obviously he's got form with Kingman as well, so I think the form of that race will work out as well. And I think Brazos is actually a big price. I will even go as far as saying the one to beat, I think, tomorrow.
Yeah, I wouldn't completely disagree with you on Brazos. I quite liked him as a 2-year-old, and I always had him down as a horse to improve as a 3-year-old. Obviously, Marco under 5 gets a 3-year-old allowance. That makes life a little bit easier tomorrow.
Work it out. I think it's £9.
Yeah,
yeah, nine. Yeah,
nine
yeah.
might make it anyway.
Like it, yeah.
But I do not trust my notes because that is absolutely horrendous. Michael, Brazos is one that we made quite a big thing of at Glorious Goodwood last year. Is it? I'm not going to call it by our nickname. Is Brazos?
No, I must admit I was going through the Sundown card and I looked at steps, and then I looked at the horse I'm selecting in this race and thought, actually quite confident. And you wouldn't look at it looking at his form figures, but I think Prince of Johann, if the rain doesn't come, you've got to be worried about it. He won this race last year. He's always primed for one run. He's off the same mark, but I think he carried last year 9 stone 10, but because of Baltic Knight, Snowboarder, and Gabriel's Kaka in the race, he only carries 9 stone 3. He normally wins one big handicapper every year. Last year he managed to put some decent horses in behind, so I wouldn't be, if you're thinking there's some better horses in the race, I wouldn't be worried. When Prince of Johann wants to run, nothing really stops him.
Yeah.
He beat Samaritz last year, I think was in the race. Vindhoek, I think, was in the race. There's also that Wentworth, but that was a bit of a dog at the time. I must admit I wasn't a fan of whatever horse I just mentioned. I can't remember his name anymore. But yeah, I think Prince of Johann, as long as too much rain doesn't come, as long as it doesn't get any softer than good to soft, I think is the one to beat. Russian Realm is probably the one that's unexposed, ran a decent race last time out. But was it the Royal Hunt Cup? Louis the Pious.
I think it's Buckingham Palace.
Buckingham Palace.
Yeah. He was fancied that.
Yeah, he was. I think he was very short that day, and I think a slightly smaller field, he should run well. But yeah, I think Prince of Johann, I just have the feeling that this is his day again, and he's going to go in. So he's about 12-1, and I'd be very happy to take that.
Yeah, and there's a few shrewd judges that actually fancied Prince of Johann in the Royal Hunt Cup, and that really never came to the fore at all in the races. Quite disappointing that day. Callum, your selection for a completely wide open handicap.
Well, the first thing I noticed, I think there's a lot of pace on here. I mean, there's quite a few Johnson runners that like to go forward. You've got Prince of Johann, who Michael mentioned, likes to be forward. So does Samaritz. So it wouldn't surprise me if something gets set up to win this, which means something like Gabriel's Kaka has probably got a really good chance. And you can forget his run in the Hunt Cup last time out, and he's got his ground as well. So I think he's got his chance. I just think maybe one of the front two in the market might be a better handicap than him, and I think Russian Realm and Velix are the two you really want to be concentrating on. Russian Realm, I think, will appreciate the extra furlong. I just think he got done for a bit of toe in the Louis the Pious race, the Buckingham Palace. Velix, I think, should appreciate going down a furlong, actually. I mean, he really appreciated going down a furlong from 10 furlongs last time out at Epsom, where he looked set for at least second or third and got a horrible hampered badly on the rail, and in the end finished 7th. And he's a value for a bit better than that. He's only up £1. Cam Hardy takes off £5 anyway, and I just think he's really well handicapped to run a big race tomorrow on ground that he enjoys. And yeah, I just think Velix is the one for me. I think 6-1 is pretty fair, and I think he's my most likely winner in the race.
So out of a big handicap like this, you've picked the favourite.
He's not favourite. Russian Realm's favourite.
The market I'm looking at, well, joint favourite. Joint favourite. Although I can't talk. I can't talk because my nap is that exactly, not that horse, but
yeah,
exactly.
The big favourite in the big handicap.
Yeah, in a bigger handicap.
If I put one at a price, I would agree with Michael with Prince of Johann, who's off the same mark that he won this off last year.
Yeah. Well, you agree with Michael. I'm going to agree with Adam with Brazos. I just think I know it's moronic to do to agree with
May
Adam,
not be.
but Brazos with the 3-year-old concession, I just think as a 3-year-old he will be one to improve and could be even better than a handicapper. Clive Britton knows what he's doing. James Dawes a very, very notable jockey booking, and I was impressed with him 2 runs ago. I think it was at Newbury when he won. I could be completely wrong in saying that actually. Ascot, yeah, not Newbury. Newbury was third before the time before that, but I was quite impressed at Ascot. He did the job really well, and then a little bit. It was a good run at Royal Ascot behind Mr. G in a fairly hot race, I thought as well.
Yeah, but you look at some of the horses he's come up against, Mawari, Ertijal, and they're horses that are highly thought of. And I mean, they thought of Ertijal enough to run him in the Guineas.
Well, as a 2-year-old, he was highly thought of, and he was beaten 3/4 of a length by the Grey Gatsby on this second run. The Grey Gatsby obviously has come on leaps and bounds before that, but he's a glorious Goodwood winner last year, won in really nice style.
Oh my
so I think Brazos could be a tad overpriced, but we move on now to the Lancashire Oaks, which for me looks a wide open race. We mentioned Sultanina before we came on air, Callum. Could you give Sultanina a chance at remaining unbeaten?
Well, I mean, we were talking about the fact that Quiz Mistress has gone down £4 or £5 for her run, and she was only beaten a length that day. So Sultanina, I thought she did it okay, and it was quite impressive considering it was only a second start. But this is a lot tougher, and beating horses like Talent and Seals of Approval are proven graded performers at this level, and more importantly on this ground. I think her work's cut out, and to be honest, I did want to oppose the front two. Mainly because, I mean, Talent I don't think ran particularly well in the Coronation on her return. She was quite keen and she might come on for that. But Seal of Approval beat her comfortably at Ascot back in October on similar ground over this trip and ran a lot better return run than Talent. Seal of Approval probably wants a little bit further ideally, but this could be enough of a stamina test for her, and she's clearly the most likely winner for me, and even if she's 11-4, she's the most likely winner. The one I wanted to potentially back on better ground was Lustrous of Richard Hannons, who is a 3-year-old in this race, gets a lot of weight off 8.6, getting nearly a stone. She ran a really good race behind Bracelet up to this trip last time, but I just think the ground's a worry for me. That's what's the only thing that's put me off. But look, I think the favourite's the most likely winner. And if the ground was okay, then I'd back Lustrous. But apart from that, I'll probably leave it.
Yeah. Sorry.
Attacked by
I'm being attacked by a hurricane at the moment. If you heard little dings throughout Callum's little speech there,
Stupid Michael.
That was Michael being very immature.
He realises his own notifications come from his own phone. It's really sad, that is.
We have to apologise for the youngest member of On the Other Loose actions there. You agree on Seal of Approval, don't you?
Yeah, I do. It was a good 4th last time out in the Yorkshire Cup, and I think that is quite strong form. The Group 1 win at Ascot was really impressive. I know. Doesn't matter. I don't care. It's half on the screen.
Yeah, it's probably
better. I agree. But yeah, I mean, it was good to see her win though at Ascot after that horrible fall at Doncaster in the Park Hill. I genuinely think she's a very good filly, and I think Mare actually, and I think she's the one to beat here. Obviously, Talent and Sultanina are the two that I put up as the main danger. I mean, Sultanina, I made a mention of last time out. I thought it was interesting that John Gosden was putting her in such a good race so soon. We'll have to see how she goes on this ground. Talent will definitely appreciate the ground, but I just think Seal of Approval will prove far too good.
One sort of health warning I give about Seal of Approval. Obviously, she had that horrible fall last year. When she won her Group 1 on Champions Day, George Baker had her sort of in a pack and said that she didn't really want to go through a gap. Maybe she was remembering what happened the last time out. But as soon as he got her in the clear, then she ran on really strongly. Yeah. That would sort of worry me in a race with 12
Maybe he can go a little bit wider. That's the only thing. And plus, they'll come to, I reckon, with Haydock tomorrow and how the ground is, it's soft. Yeah. I mean, it was good to firm yesterday.
I mean, I'm sure Hayley Turner will have that in the back of her mind, obviously.
Yeah, of course she will.
To not get sort of sandwiched up.
Yeah,
she'll be prominent. I'm pretty sure she'll be prominent because if you look at all her other races, they held her up, I think, just as a safety precaution, really. I don't know exactly why, but they meant to hold her up that day. And if you look at all her other races, she's always up the pace. So
Yeah, maybe it
it'll
was
be
to
less
get
of
the
a wait for
trip.
me.
Maybe it's to get the trip in the Park Hill, and I think you see that at mile 6 as well. So
Yeah.
Yeah. For me, I take on Seal of Approval with talent. Just I'm still clinging on to hope that she can refine that form of winning the Oaks. It's so impressive last season. Since then, sort of, you could say that she's lost her way, but that might be a bit harsh. Obviously,
second legend.
yeah, exactly. Second legend to leading light, but the time before that behind Chiquita was dismal.
I think that she had her excuses. I think the
Yeah,
ground
It's
was
the ground.
The ground was too
Yeah.
fast. Yeah. Ascot behind Seal of Approval got a bit of.
She was in
ground take
season,
up.
wasn't she then? Or-
I was
I think she had an excuse that day as well. She was over the top, that was it. I remember now, Rafe Beckett saying she was over
Yeah.
the top.
But then, whoa.
I think that's Callum.
Yeah, some really loud lorry or something.
Fair enough. But last time out, finishing sort of 10.5 lengths behind Sirius Aiglers in a race like this isn't the worst form to bring into it, really.
Not really.
And on your comeback run as well, you'd expect Talent to find a little bit extra for match fitness. So I'm going to give Talent one last chance tomorrow. I think 5-1's at a fair enough price. I'd rather be taking that sort of price than 7-2 or 5-2, is it, about Seal of Approval. I just think Talent's got. If Talent can return to her best form, she could take a hell of a lot of beating tomorrow. Michael, do you agree with Talent or Seal of Approval even as well?
It's tough. I must admit, this is a really, really good race. There's a lot of depth here. You've got Talent, Sultanina, Silksari, Seal of Approval, Pomology, Charity Line. I must admit that I find that quite interesting. The owners of Elusive Kate have now bought Charity Line. And I know a lot of the Italian form, you don't really know what it's worth, because I know we pretty much ignored the Italian runners when they came over for the Royal Ascot a couple of weeks back, and they did run, as we expected. But the fact that that's been bought by Elusive Kate's owners, Marco Botti's put it in this race, could be better than the Italian average. By Manduro, he flies a lot of very good types. I don't know. I really struggle with this. I'd love Sultanina to keep up her lofty reputation. But I think Seal of Approval has definitely got to be the one to beat, because that run last time out, as I think Adam said, the fourth behind Gospel Choir is a very, very good form, and I think that's definitely the one to beat. I can completely understand Talent as well. I don't know, it's a really good race. I think those would have to be the top two. The market's got it just about right. But I wouldn't be surprised if we had a good run from Sultanina or Charity Line at a big price. But it's a really nice race to watch, and I think this could leave a few clues for the rest of the season.
That's sort of the classic Michael Andrews speech of, I haven't got a clue. So,
What do you want to do with the Hardwick? I haven't got a clue.
I haven't got a clue.
Wait a minute.
Telescope cannot win. Telescope's a certainty.
But it won.
You should do that more often. You should do that more often. But we move on now to the Coral-Eclipse Phillies listed race, and this is a very competitive race. Only there's 6 runners, but I believe, Callum, your nap comes in the form of Radiator here.
Yeah, I do like Radiator. I just think she's a slowly improving filly, and she came out, last year, and she looked a potentially a top-notch filly, and a lot of people seem to like her, especially when she won by 15 lengths at Lingfield. Never really thought, oh, this is a good thing. And then she disappointed when she ran behind Miss France in the Oh So Sharp, and she was off then, so she must have been wrong. She's come back. I thought she needed her first run because she travelled all over a decent field at York, and a race that's working out really well. And she just didn't have enough in the final strides. But Lustrous has really found that form since, with a big run at Royal Ascot. Last time out, it was a real messy race, that Coronation. But the fact she was even in it when she was rated 99, I think strongly suggests that they really do rate this filly. And she finished the race really nicely. And I was looking at some of the sectional times, and I think she was either the second or third fastest finishing filly, as she finished on the outside, beaten 3.5 lengths into 8th. But yeah, I just think she's an improving filly, and she has a lot more scope to me than Queen Katrine, who probably sets the standard on her last run when she was second again at Royal Ascot. But Radiator, I just think will improve past her now, and I think 130 over her compared to 9-4 is a very fair price. And bar that, I think Beldor's the only one that I'd really look at in the race, because I mean she comes into the race with an impressive maiden win after finishing second to a stablemate at Newmarket, and she's probably respected. But I think Radiator could be too good for them.
Yeah, we mentioned the rain earlier on, and the one that wouldn't want much rain for her optimum ground is Queen Katrine. And as I look outside at the moment, it is clouding over, so the rain is on its way. We're about half an hour away from Sandown, but there is a lot of rain forecast tonight. Queen Katrine wouldn't want too much of that, but as I mentioned earlier on as well, the sprint course seems to take most of it. It's on a downhill slope if you haven't seen Sandown, so the back straight is much lower than the home straight. And the round course has a tendency to not get as soft as sort of the sprint course, maybe even the back straight in places. So I'm not overly worried about the rain. It won't be good to firm. You can put your bottom dollar on that. Good ground would be fine, I think. But Queen Katrine, as we mentioned earlier on to each other, probably wasn't given the best ride at Ascot. I know Callum's going to jump down my throat at that.
No, I agree.
No,
It was
I
an
agree.
awful ride.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought he's held on to it for too long, personally.
I wasn't complaining because I backed
No,
Matilda.
neither was I.
I didn't back Queen Katrine, but I was sat there 2 furlongs out going, Queen Katrine, Spencer, let her go, let her go. Let her go, and then he finally let her go, and she didn't pick up as he expected, and then she ran on, and another one with another 1,500 yards would have won. So there,
but that's not a problem for tomorrow because Ryan Moore's booked, which I think is a huge positive. The only worry would be is if the ground does get really soft, only because Queen Katrine can handle it, but her best form isn't on that.
Yeah, she needs fast ground.
She needs that, but the thing
so does the rest of them.
She was third in the Marcel Boussac though, so. And that would be on soft ground, so.
I've got one that likes soft ground.
Oh, Crowley's Law.
Wee Jean.
Fair enough.
Well, I don't understand the price. You know, you've got Queen Katrine at 94.15 to 8, and then you've got Wee Jean, who was not beaten far by her last time out, behind Mutila, only half a length behind Mutila. So that's less than, well, just about half a length. She was beaten by Queen Katrine last time out. Wee Jean's 8 to 1. Queen Katrine's 15 to 8, and Wee Jean won a Doncaster on soft the time before. That form is not great, but the fact that she backed that up next time out at Ascot, I think, stands to reason. So I think Wee Jean is overpriced, really. I do like the Radiator line. I think this is a decent race. I remember I was there last year when Integra won it, and I said this horse is one for the future. And I think Beldor has a similar profile, but you've also got to respect that Sir Michael Stout is aiming it again with Radiator, so it could be a repeat of that. So I think it's a really interesting race, but you know it's tight. I think Wee Jean is the value, really, especially if the rain does really, really come.
I was just about to make myself look really stupid then and say, why isn't Ryan Moore riding the Sir Michael Stout horse? But
yeah, do you know, I thought the same thing earlier, and then it clicked. I don't know why I did that.
I thought it, and no, actually, I'm an idiot.
Yeah.
But Integral one's at 4 to 1 last year. Talk about value on that front. I haven't mentioned, which I always forget in the video. If you've got any questions, it's very late on into the video now. Then please send them in at the end, or for the end, and we'll read them out and try and get as many answers as possible. And send in any fancies that you've got. We've already got a few come in, but if you haven't already done it and you want to, then please let us know. Moving on now to the Old Newton Cup. It's wide open, isn't it? And just to say that I'm going, well, I think a few of us are, well, I think maybe all of us are going for the 4 to 1 favourite in Havana Cooler. Well, last time I thought we were all going for the same horse. We started with Michael with Steps, and we all went for the same horse. So, Michael, you were with Havana Cooler as well?
No. I must admit, do you know Starla runs in Germany on the same day? He's 2 to 1 favourite actually in Germany tomorrow. So I thought that was quite fun because he won this race last year. But for me, it's difficult. I haven't really worked out who I'm going for, to be honest. But it's a really, really interesting handicap. I am interested by the move on Mighty Yeah. I think the ground will help, but surely he needs further. Like he got outpaced over a mile and a half basically when they didn't go a quick enough pace behind De Rigueur at Newmarket last time. So I'm surprised that they've dropped him down in trip, which I don't really understand the move on that one. So unless they go a furious pace, which I just can't see, I can't go with my TR. Palisator, I'm surprised he's such a big price actually. Came last year with a lofty reputation, but couldn't really get on top when he ran at Haydock last time after a really long break, and then he ran again really well in the Cesarewitch the next time out. Not to be confused with the Cambridgeshire.
I was going to say, not the Cambridgeshire.
But again, he comes in after a really long break. He's got to have had his problems, really. His 3-year-old career, he promised a lot, but just, we haven't really seen enough of him. So I think if he's back on his best, and he goes on from his 3-year-old form, I think Palisator could be a big one. Snocking Star will always give his running, but looks handicapped to the hilt now at 9 stone 9. Yeah, De Rigueur doesn't. Yeah, De Rigueur, I backed him when he came 7th, not when he came 1st last time out at 25 to 1. That hurt a bit. It's difficult. I must admit, it's really difficult handicap, and I'll probably decide something just before the off. But I think Palisator, if he goes on from what he promised, he could be a very big price at about 12 to 1, 14 to 1. Havana Cooler, I can understand why your guy's going for her, but him at 3 to 172. But it's not for me. Not in this kind of handicap. I think it's very, very wide open.
Yeah, I've got one. Someone needs to educate Michael about the Cambridgeshire and which race isn't the Cambridgeshire.
Oh, kind of like that.
Fantastic, that. Sorry, I came up with it in my head and very proud of that. So please do not judge me. Now the rest of us, I, myself, Adam, and Callum, we're all in Team Havana Cooler, aren't we?
Yep.
No.
Set the camera.
Since when have you not been Havana Cooler?
Well, I thought I just can't back him at 9 to 2. I just don't think it's a very good price. He just didn't miss. Nobody missed that run last time out, and
that's
I
the
think
same thing.
eventually there's only, I think he's going to find his sufficient improvement when he steps up a couple of furlongs in trip, and also I think on slightly better ground. I don't know how well he handles soft ground, because his run at York over 14 furlongs in the Melrose, I thought is probably his worst run last year, considering it was his only run. It wasn't
a bad run though.
It wasn't a bad run at all, no. But I still think he should have. He had the right to win that, and I just think he's opposable. But then considering Kimani's won it 3 times the last 10 years, including with a future Japan Cup winner, and and Mad Rush, who won it in 2008. Ran in the same race that Havana Cooler did. He hasn't been missed by anyone, and I just prefer to look somewhere else. Looking somewhere else, I don't know what to go for.
It's easier said than done.
Yeah, it is much easier. Magic Hurricane, I think, is pretty solid, but I do prefer others. Again, I don't think he's much of a price. Dashing Star, I'm sure Adam will mention. Salutation will hate the ground, wants fast ground. I like De Rigueur, trained by Marco Botti, who won last time out at Newmarket, and that was a bit of a surprise win because he'd been in such bad form on both his runs, but the ground went wrong for him at Newmarket, found it too fast according to connections, and at Ripon he badly needed the run behind Battalion. Looking at his form, I wasn't sure about the ground, but he won on heavy ground at Haydock. He's 2 from 2 at Haydock. He won over 2 miles last year. Of 97, they thought he was going to be a 100-plus horse last year, and considering how well he won last time out, coming from well behind off a race that wasn't that strongly run, I think he's worth chancing tomorrow at 14 to 1 compared to Havana Cooler. I wouldn't put anyone off Havana Cooler because he's got the most obvious chance you can think
basically,
of.
it's just the price that's putting you off in a big race, 4 to 1.
It is. On better ground, I'd be a lot more confident. I would say that.
Well, if you have a word with the clerk of the course, then maybe he can put it up as good to firm.
Very good point.
I liked your name. I like the name that you came out with for the course before the video. You don't have to share it with the viewers, but if you want to, you can.
I can't even remember it. It was Dan Bryden put it up. So
Hosedock.
Yeah, Hosedock. That's it. Yeah.
Now, okay, I mentioned first there were 4 people that fancied Havana Cooler.
Then there
were 3. Now there's 2, and we actually do fancy Havana Cooler, right?
No, I'm kidding. No, I do.
I don't either. No. But coming from the form last season, the Newmarket race is when I really picked up Havana Cooler, beating Peddler's Moon and Catamountain. Catamountain has since gone on to run in a run in the Dubai World Cup.
Placed.
Yeah. Yeah, placed in the Dubai World Cup as well. And Pedders Moon.
It's a group horse.
Yeah, exactly. He's a group horse, and there's no denying Havana Kula probably will end up as a group horse. He'll probably want further than this for sure.
Yeah, I think softer ground tomorrow over a mile and a half I think will help him, because obviously the third in the Melrose over 14 furlongs was, for me, it's good form. I mean, you got that, and you also got I forgot the name of the horse now. Dashing Star, that's it. And that's another one in this race I like, because the form ties in really well. I mean, Havana Kula and Dashing Star were close to each other at Ascot. That race, for me, is going to work out really well. I mean, Arab Spring's a group horse, and you've also got Elidoran behind, who I think will make up into quite a nice cup horse next season. Not the Ascot Gold Cup, obviously, but the other cup races. I think those two will be fighting at the finish, actually.
We mentioned sort of this trip would be too short for Havana Kula, and potentially that could be right, but Haydock, I still think it's a track that you need to stake. It's got a long straight.
So that's what he wants.
Yeah,
he wants a long straight. Like Ascot, I think with the shorter straight, he got going, but he got going too late. Whereas at Haydock, he can get wound up. York as well is another one, as Callum rightly said. I mean, the Ebor is another race that you would look at for him and Dashing Star, and I think it wouldn't surprise me if both of them ended up there. So I think Havana Kula wins. I actually think Dashing Star comes second. I'm actually going to put it up as a forecast. In a big handicap, yeah. And also to add that Dashing Star is price wise.
I think you should stick to try and find one winner.
All right, then Havana Kula is winning.
We're moving on to a race that we hoped would be a bit more straightforward, and last year for me it was, because I was a big fan of Al-Kazim. This year, not so much luck. It's very wide open. We have the Guineas win a Night of Thunder in, and Callum's very sweet on Night of Thunder. I'm a bit sweet on Verrazano. Michael, your fancy for the Coral-Eclipse?
I don't know. It's an interesting.
That's not what we wanted to hear straight away. We wanted to hear really fancy Zambuca.
Night of Thunder.
Nice. Yeah. We've got a 3-against-1 here.
Yeah.
That's all. I think that's all Mike was willing to say.
Sorry. Do you want me to actually go on?
No, that's what we do in these videos, if you haven't noticed. We actually say the horse we fancy, and then we say why.
Alright, well, everyone else said what horse they fancy without saying why. Night of Thunder, must admit, all the other horses are a bit frustrating, I find. The Fugue bombed out when ran in this last year. In better form this year, you could argue. But at 9-4, I would not be willing to take that, especially considering the rain's planning to come. Verrazano, very odd race in the Queen Anne last time out, was hurried along pretty much from the outset and just stayed on well. It was just a bizarre race, that. Can't have somewhat. True Story's been disappointing, and this is I think you could only count this as a step up, really. War Command has been, again, a bit this year, although his fourth last time out promised a lot. Zambuca, that one's got a really decent chance.
I have a feeling you have been drinking some of that before saying that.
No. Mukadram is really overpriced. I thought that he was going to be more like half the price that he is, but at 16-1, and each way on him, especially considering there's over 8 runners, is ridiculously good value. Tullius is probably going to run well. Trading Lever I just can't have. I was never a massive fan of that horse. So it's kind of left me with Night of Thunder, to be honest. Kingston Hill could also run well, actually, in fairness, and I think those two are your ones for the win, Kingston Hill or Night of Thunder. Night of Thunder ran really well last time out, behind Kingman, but Kingman is just some other phenomenon. We'll be going with Night of Thunder. I think his run last time out and he's winning the Guineas. This is a 1,000 Guineas horse, 2,000 Guineas horse in fact. Sorry.
Is it a sex
change? He was, and he's 4-1 against the Fugue, who's not going to get her ground. Night of Thunder, he won on softish ground last year, didn't he? Night of Thunder,
very easily as well.
No, I wouldn't be worried about that at all. So yeah, Night of Thunder for me. I'm even more confident than I was before. So maybe that's a good sign.
You mentioned the Fugue, who since Royal Ascot has been Antipode's favourite for the race. I'm not convinced that Sandown is a track that's going to play to her strengths. Obviously,
yeah, I think you're right.
The Fugue, yeah. I have down as a fast 2.5-mile horse, and one that comes with a swooping run. It goes past everything, and they sort of stand there. What was that? Finish the race. But Sandown, she's going to have to
say a fast 2.5-mile horse.
Fast 2.5-mile horse.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
You need to learn to listen proper, bro.
Fast 2 miles. Oh.
But at Sandown, she's going to really have to stay. Okay, she can put in the initial burst of speed, but then if she hits the front, then she could just be a sitting duck for maybe the strongest stayers in the race. Kingston Hill would come into that bracket. But regarding Night of Thunder, I've sort of been standing against him all week, and not all year, no, but all week, and sort of pig-headedly maybe I didn't realise how big the weight allowance was for 3-year-olds, and that sort of shifted my view a little bit. But I still don't think he'll quite win it, just for the plain fact that at his stage in his career, I don't think a mile 2 round Sandown is going to help him whatsoever. I don't think that's really what he's going to need at the moment. But a price of 5-1 would interest me a little bit. I know Callum feels very strongly different for that.
Yeah, that's exactly what he needs for me. But it's opinions, and that's why we love racing. Night of Thunder. I'm not going to talk about his pedigree. Everyone knows about his pedigree. Yeah.
Wait, Callum, what is his pedigree?
It's pedigree pornography.
Whoa, he's changed it.
Breeding porn.
You want to take the breeding porn off Pingo?
Yeah, his Giddy's run has been franked considerably, and the fast pace it was run at. I mean, I just think 10 furlongs is ideal. Last time out, no match for Kingman, but Kingman's a special horse, and Kingston Hill, if the rain came, has to go in with a shout, because 10 furlongs again is for me his trip. I don't think he stayed 12 furlongs that well in the Derby. I just think 10 furlongs because he's got plenty of speed. I just think the 3-year-olds have a real advantage of that weight difference. The Fugue, definite standard setter. She's as good as ever at the moment. 10 furlongs on fast ground is what she wants, so any rain would be a negative. And I do get your point totally about Sandown, and I don't know what it is. There's something about it that I just want to be against her tomorrow, and I can't really put my finger on why. The O'Brien 2, I cannot have at all. Verrazano, I just can't have either of them. I think Verrazano has the trip to prove. I didn't like his attitude last time out, where he was reluctant to go down to post, didn't travel a yard. War Command, I don't think wants 10 furlongs whatsoever, and I don't think he's good enough. So if you want an each way bet, Trading Leather, Mukadram are your more likely ones to be on. I mean, again, if they don't go up with the pace and are prominent, then you may as well just rip your ticket off.
Yeah.
Because Mukadram got a baffling ride last time out. Tactics with the pacemaker was just mad. And Trading Leather got an even more baffling ride when he was beaten in the Jockey Club. So I can't work that out. Bar those, I mean, a True Story I can't work out at all. And the rest I think will be outclassed. But Night of Thunder, who's drifted this tonight, 5-1, I think is a great price now. For
the Jockey Club Stakes, where Trading Leather ran in, I was on the train going back from Better Racing Nation, and Adam gave me a commentary on that, and his commentary was something along the lines of, "They're holding Trading Leather up today."
What? I was very confused. I thought it was ready for the run as well.
Yeah, I could not agree with Callum more about the rides on Mukadram and Trading Leather last time. Baffling on Mukadram. Why he needs a pacemaker, I have no idea. He's not a speed horse at all. He's a horse that gets to the front and does his best to stay there. He's got one pace and it's go. He just burns the others into the ground. Trading Leather, very much the same. He's not going to be a horse with a man and a foot. And I was quite sweet on Mukadram at Royal Ascot until they tried to restrain him and put him off his true running start. If they let him bowl along in front and he gets an easy time of it tomorrow, I could see him winning it. More likely to place, and 14-1 is a decent each way price. The main fancy for me is Verrazano, but I've changed my mind on this race so much this week. I've pretty much covered half the field. But Verrazano is the one that I've landed on. I'm not as confident as I was earlier on in the week. The rain is a little bit of a negative. It depends how much rain we actually get, which is all speculation at the moment. I think you said 5 millimeters was
the minimum predicted.
Yeah, the minimum
plus,
predicted.
there was a plus on it as well.
Yeah.
So,
but last time out, Callum mentioned the point that he was reluctant to go down to post. It could just be his sort of who he is, because Joseph O'Brien took him to the far side, sort of the race course, and had him on his own isolated, which may not have helped because he didn't have a lead horse. I think he was the last one to go down as well. Then he was never really on the bridle for the entirety of the Queen Anne, which would suggest he wants a bit further. But then Aidan O'Brien comes out after and says we still haven't got him fit. Maybe by the time the Eclipse one comes around, he joked that they might just about have him fit. I'm willing to buy into that fitness was still an issue because he ran as if he did need to run. But he didn't lose any ground on Toronado late on. He was off the bridle, but he was sticking with him. And if anything, he was closing the final few strides. Not hugely. It wasn't anything great, but he was just dawning down on Toronado a little bit.
To be fair, Toronado need runs, so...
Yeah, no, there is that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was just about to make that point. And
yeah.
The race also, I mean, it was perfectly run for him because they went quite quick up front, and
Yeah, they did.
It's just,
he was off the pace and gone.
I'm not buying into the fact at all that that's the true Verrazano because he didn't travel with any fluency whatsoever.
He's had problems in America, you know.
Yeah.
He wasn't the most straightforward, and I thought his run in the lock-in was brilliant. I thought he ran a cracker, and I just thought he took a massive step backwards at Ascot, and I was really unimpressed by him in every aspect.
He did that as well in America. He took sort of a big step back when he got beat by Will Take Charge, and then he came out next time. I think he won next time quite impressively. So he is the kind of horse that can. He is the kind of horse that can do that. He can put in a horrible run, then come back next time out and absolutely hack up.
I really question him over 10 furlongs, though.
Again,
didn't
that's
stay in
the
America, and as you've made the point, you need a stayer to win this race.
As a 3-year-old, though.
Yeah, as a 3-year-old, though, but it's still got question marks for me, and the ground is a big negative for me, because if it rains, I think he wants top of the ground. You can also rely, as Callum, I agree with Callum on War Command, rule him out straight away. For me, the sectionals of the St James's Palace are interesting because it basically reads that Joseph O'Brien didn't give War Command the best of rides.
That was a horrible.
He was the second fastest horse, which suggests to me either stick at a mile or go back sprinting. Yet they're going up in trip, and to me it just doesn't suit him. And he's one that I could just chuck him straight out, even with the outsiders as well. He's one of the first that, when I looked at the race, he was the first one I think I put a line through. My selection is Night of Thunder. The Guineas form is working out unbelievably well, as Callum said earlier. The thing that interested me in the Guineas, I watched it back, is at 2.5 out, Kieran Fallon is already getting to work on him, which suggested that he was just beginning to possibly get outpaced. Which suggests then, in the way he finished, how strong he was at the finish, suggests that, to me, 10 furlongs would be perfect. St James's Palace as well, the sectionals as well there, he basically wound it up, but he actually turned out to be the 4th fastest at all the finishes, so it suggests to me a step up to 10 furlongs would be absolutely ideal for him. The rain won't be an issue. I think he's bomb-proof. I think 5 to 1's a ridiculous price.
On a flat course, like a speed track almost, I wouldn't be too much against Night of Thunder. Just at Sandown, you need to get a bit further than a mile 2 to win a race like the Eclipse. It's
I think he can.
So, but what, Verrazano? Will Verrazano get that?
I don't see the trip as much of an issue for Verrazano. It's another year on his back from being a 3-year-old. His run last time didn't suggest that he needed a mile at all. He needed to do it further. Even his lock-ins run, okay, he wasn't given the hardest of rides, but he was still closing at the end. Okay, there was a lot left on him that day. Probably still a bit to work on at Ascot. I don't think a mile 2 is a problem for him at all.
Might sound silly, but maybe 9. It's a tiny tripless trip, but 9 furlongs would possibly be his ideal.
But tomorrow, going into the race, I wouldn't be worried about the trip at all from him. The ground may be a bit more of an issue, but the kind of horse he is, he wouldn't appear that the ground is too much of an issue for him.
Can I make 1 or 2 more points on the race?
Yeah.
I think Trading Leather's a 12 furlong horse. Truth Story is not good enough. I do like Kingston Hill as well. I think the rain will definitely help him, and it's a horse I've really liked. The Fugue obviously sets the standard, but I'm just worried for her on the ground. I mean, if she can win, I was worried about her in the Irish Champion. She won that, so it made me look stupid. Muckadram is obviously, I think we all agree that Muckadram is a very good each way proposition in the race.
He always is.
Yeah, but there is plenty of pace on though. There's one issue with Muckadram for me tomorrow. There's plenty of pace, and you've got Trading Leather, you've got Somewhat, you've got Muckadram. They're all going to want to go for the lead. You've got Kingston Hill, who would probably be handy because of the distance. War Command and Night of Thunder will be held up. Verrazano, I don't know what they'll do with him actually. And Zambuca's.
Verrazano, I can see being midfield.
Yeah.
Sort of 5th, 6th.
But it depends how he plays. I just think Night of Thunder will win this, and 10 furlongs will prove to be his optimum trip.
Okay. So moving on to questions, so we spent quite a lot of time on that. It was quite a good debate on the Eclipse actually. Michael's been sitting there bored as hell. We
also have one more thing from Michael as well.
Yeah, we have one more thing
after the questions, and that's
well, actually, we'll lead straight on to it because the first question is from Sean. German Derby plug imminent.
Okay, there we go.
Michael, you have about 1 minute to 2 minutes to talk about the German Derby?
I'll have as much time as I want, but yeah, I probably won't need that many more.
Mute him.
I'm not gonna demand anything. Yeah, the German Derby. I think we shouldn't forget this. We've got some really, really decent horses in the field. None more so than obviously See the Moon. You can go on to German Racing Review. We've got loads of stuff on there. We've got an interview with his owners who even talk about the Christoph Sumion booking, which was quite controversial. Andreas Helfenbein was not very happy indeed about that, and I think he, because they said they were worried about his health because he had suffered a fall 12 days ago. I think he published his medical records on Facebook to prove that he was actually well. But it's a really interesting interview. We've also got fact files on the main contenders. And loads of other stuff, which is really interesting. So if you want anything on the German Derby, go on there. For me, I've got 3 in the race that I quite like against See the Moon because he's 13-10 with race bets, which is a bit too short for me considering this is the German Derby. And normally the best horse in the race doesn't win, with the possible exception of Pastorius. But even then, Novelist was second, and Novelist came out to be a better horse. Yeah. So I've gone with Lucky Lion if he stays. He's about 9-1 at the moment. Also Magic Artist 19-1. He should not be 90-1. He won the Bavarian Classic very easily last time, and he wasn't beaten too far by See the Moon the time before that. Step Up and Trip will help him. And I've also got Russian Bolero at 74-1, or with Paddy Power I think he's 80-1. His full brother finished 3rd in the race about 10 years or so ago, and he's always been around in the mix. He's still a maiden. He's been second in some decent races, 2nd and 3rd in some decent races. I think he's a bit overpriced at around 80-1. So those would be my 3. But yeah, if anybody wants to talk about them, I know Sean fancies Amazonit, I think it is. He's about 29-1, and also something else that I've forgotten the name of. So that Amazonit form is with Russian Bolero as well. So yeah, I think it's a really, really wide open race. I must admit, I wouldn't be touching the English and Irish contenders, Pinzolo and Jeffrey Chaucer. Jeffrey Chaucer, I can understand why, he's so short. He's from a very powerful yard. Pinzolo, I'd probably have Pinzolo a bit shorter, actually. But I think See the Moon's definitely the one to beat, but has shown signs of greenness, doesn't know what it's like to be in a big field, and that is not a 13-10 shot in the Derby for me. So I'd be willing to take him on, and there's definitely value elsewhere. So yeah, it'd be a really, really good race, and there's no other group action on Sunday, so you should all be tuning in to ATR.
Yeah,
yes.
4 o'clock, isn't it? Yeah, I think it is.
Around that. We'll be tweeting it.
Just go on German Race Review and read all the previews. They're fantastic.
Before we move on to that, we have some other international action tomorrow at Belmont Park. Obviously, Toast of New York's gone over for the Belmont Derby. Or Belmont Derby Invitational Stakes.
Dirt? It's just as I said, of running
No, it's just sporting life.
Oh, fair enough. I was going to say, because it is soft ground over there, and that's a real worry for Toast of New York.
Well, yeah, we mentioned that Toast of New York will probably suffer because of the soft ground. We mentioned Galo Chop earlier on, probably benefit from the step up in trip, but then we've got Adelaide going over as well. Do any of you guys have any sort of insight on the race? Or
I don't know who wins, but Toast of New York doesn't.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's the I've got.
I take Galo Chop at 6-1. I think she'll be a bit shorter than that.
The only one not on Lasix.
Huh?
That's the only runner not on Lasix. Lasix.
Do you call it Lasix?
I don't know. I know the American.
That drug. We'll just call it the drug.
Let's pump the horses. Sorry. That's how they drug horses.
Oh. Wow.
I'm just a gift. Questions. Will Bowler has sent his fancies 2 for me tomorrow. Nearly caught in the 4:25 at Sandown, and the nap of the day is she's gorgeous. Named after Michael in the 6:30 at Nottingham. Phil Dinsdale has come in saying, "Can you give me your thoughts on the chance of the Mighty R and the Old Newton Cup tomorrow?" I think Michael hit the nail on the head with the Mighty R earlier on. That needs a bit further.
Yeah, definitely.
Jackie Kingdom's last name preview for 6:10 at Carlisle. No, we are not, but very good luck with Chili Miss tomorrow. First time on the flat as well. Yeah.
It's not a bad route to go with her, I think. So.
And one that we haven't mentioned very quickly. Simple betting are coming. Thoughts on Charity Line in the Lancashire Oaks tomorrow. Unbeaten in 6 starts in Italy. And join Mr. Botti.
I don't know.
I spoke about that one.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, Michael did.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
For me, I'm not sure. It's Italian form. I don't know how to
Yeah.
rate. Oh, I think that wasn't the Colt that came over for Alaska unbeaten as well.
Yeah.
And then he just ran no race whatsoever. So I don't know with Italian form.
Hand-
I take it with a pinch of salt until they actually come over to England and prove it. So
Handle with care.
handle it.
Now, Michael, a naughty lucky 15.
I've got some actual loads of questions actually. Well, not
Oh, really?
loads.
Oh, but wait, sorry, I've got one more from Jake Acast. I think Verrazano is going to be a nearly horse, a bit like soft falling rain. I don't think he's going to make a big impact in the UK.
That's not a bad
It's
suggestion.
not. But yeah, it's not the worst suggestion in the world. Soft falling rain obviously has been very successful in other parts of the globe. It hasn't really done it here.
No, it might sound silly.
Yeah, I wouldn't completely disagree with you there, Jake. I just think that Verrazano, if showing us his best form tomorrow, will be a very, very tough nut to crack. But it is a very, very tough race to crack in that. Michael, your questions that you got.
From Skeletor 1982, I like the fact that I've got free tickets and I'm going, so enjoy Sandown. He says Fugue is a definite lay. He also said he would like Kingston Hill a lot, but can't back Frankie anymore. Mukadram, great each way value for me. I think we all said that about Mukadram. Also, Metro John said Walkerman, Knight of Thunder win, and must lay Gosden runner. I must admit I agree with the last two parts of what he said, but I'm not so sure about the War Command idea. And I think that's just about it. Well, Philip Dinsdale says that he also likes Ouija, so that's about it. You want
That's brave. 15? Brave. Now, naughty luck 15, please.
Yeah. We have to go to the last 15, Big Boned. In 505, Sexy Secret. That one's been around before. Then we go to Sandown for two horses that are featured at Royal Ascot, the 240 Brazov, and in the 425 Domination in a forecast with Whiplash Willie.
Oh, I knew he was going to do that. I knew it.
Now, if
that comes in, well done.
onto more serious matters of the naps.
Oh.
Callum, we'll start with you since you're on the left on my screen.
Tentative Nappers Radiator.
Is that a warm fancy of yours, or?
No, I like it, but there's quite a few I'd like to tomorrow, but
You didn't get it.
I'll go for Radiator.
You didn't get it.
Alright, sorry, was it? Okay.
I was just trying to do
I think he was a bit cold on that.
Sorry, I just want to go watch the football.
Oh.
We'll let you go in a sec. My nap for tomorrow.
It's good. I've multitasked and I've got the football to my right. It's really difficult tomorrow. I've got 3 steps. I know. I'm pretty sure Luke's going to go for, so we'll ignore that one. Although actually, when me and Luke tip together, that's a pretty good one. But it's between Knight of Thunder and I'm just so tempted by Prince of Johann, so I'm going to follow what Adam does seem to do every week and go with the competitive handicap, a horse that's at least bigger than 10-1, and go and nap it. So we go Prince of Johann.
Yep, yours to go, Adam.
Oh, I'm tempted to put Brazos now just for this 10-1 plus nap, but no, I'm actually going to go with seal of approval. I just think I'm very sweet. There's quite a few tomorrow. I'm actually feeling quite confident about tomorrow, and that's a rare thing for me to say. It's a bad thing to say, but I feel quite confident with my selections tomorrow. Yeah. Some weeks you make them and you're like, but I think tomorrow's going to be a good day.
I think that about all your selections. My nap going for the nap trick, as Callum christened it before. I'm siding with Havana Cooler, who may not be the biggest value price-wise in the field, but I think this street's ahead of everything that's going to be thrown at him tomorrow, and Havana Cooler is the nap. Now, Callum, we will let you go and watch the football now, and I will also be running downstairs to watch the football along with Adam, and a blog to write as well. But if anyone's at Stand tomorrow, let me and Adam know, because we are there, and we'll try and hide from you if you tell us that you're there. Because it's probably annoying. I'm just kidding. But try and find us. We'll be by the pre-parade, and it'd be nice to say hello to you and put a name to the face. But thank you very much for watching today. Callum set up the call. Are you ready, Callum?
Yeah, I'm in.
Thank you very much for watching. I hope you can tune in next week on the other Hoof. But until then, goodbye.